deal slipped again. You had a plan for it to close in April. Then it was June. Then it was July. Now it's September. And right now we're trying to squeeze this thing in by the end of the year. But it just keeps slipping. What are we getting wrong? Well, today we are going to point out simple things that you may be overlooking that can help you prevent your deal from slipping. Check it out. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. And I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. On this episode, I have an amazing guest. His name is the one and only Mr. Bob Kocis. And you can check out his book. This is awesome. The President's Club Mindset. Bob and I, we connected a few weeks ago when we were talking about this podcast episode and about his book. And he comes with years of tech sales leadership experience. He works with teams and individuals right now, and he tried to bottle down what is it that top performers do that are making President's Club. And it's all in this book. I recommend you check it out. There's a link down below. I ain't getting no kickback from it, but it's just a good book. And the principles are dope. Today, we're going to be talking about one area, as you heard me talk in a teaser, about deals slipping. And man, if there's one piece that I feel that if any sales rep can fix, can help them with their pipeline and hidden numbers, is making sure those deals that they have don't slip. This is a great one. If this is your first time listening to our show or watching one of our videos, go ahead and subscribe. I appreciate that. But we're going to make sure you get notified every time we drop a new piece of content. As we dive into this one, Bob and I are going to tackle 3 critical questions that every sales rep should be asking. And as a sales leader, you should be asking your sales reps in order to prevent those deals from slipping. Let's go ahead and dive in. Bob, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Donald. Appreciate you having me here today.
I am looking forward to this conversation. I bragged about you a little bit in a teaser, and I want to first off congratulate you on the book. It's never an easy process, so congrats on that.
Well, thank you very much. It was actually a really super fun process, and I enjoyed it, and it's such a good opportunity for me to give back to the tech sales community, a community that's been so good to me over the years. So I appreciate that.
Well, this is why you would make such a perfect guest for this topic. I'm going to paint the scenario, and I've had this. You've led teams, and you've had salespeople with this situation as well. You have, especially this time of year, pipeline, have these amazing deals and kept pushing it out throughout the Q2 and Q3. And it's something's going to happen in Q4 and pushing it for everything to happen right now. Buyer gave some kind of life sign, and I feel that it's good, and I'm going forward with this. But it's the 20th, right? It's the 8th of December right now. And boy, I'm telling you, this thing's been slipping in a bad clutch, and it looks like it's going to slip again. Usually I blame it on a prospect. I would say, man, Bob, just idiots, man. They don't know what they're doing.
Sure.
They don't know what they want. They said they're going to do this. They change. Oh, man, it's just all of this excuses. In reality, there are things that I didn't do. And you're a seller, and you and me, we've all had that. And for you watching, this story probably sounds similar to you. We're trying to tackle that today. So Bob, let's walk through that. There are several things that you pointed out to me that usually happens why a deal slip and how sellers can prevent that. Maybe you can highlight what those 3 things are, and then we could take time, dive into each of those. Does that sound fair?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. And no, I think it's great. I think what I tried to do was in chapter 3 of the book, I tried to simplify a little bit what I call the 3 critical questions. Really allow the seller and their manager to just have a really simple way to kind of view it and say, okay, is this deal really have a good shot to happen on my timeline? Now, many people are using solutions like Medic or MedPick or all kinds of deal qualification tools. They should still do all that. And I talk about that as well later. Those are fantastic. But a lot of times you have to get down to 3 basic things. And I always say, why is the customer buying anything at all? Why are they buying from us? And why should they buy right now? Those 3 things need to happen in order for you to get a deal that you're forecasting and get on your timeline. Those 3 questions have to be answered, appropriately.
Let's dive into each of those. The first one, because I like it, and I love how you simplified it. Why are they buying in the first place? That's the
Right.
first one, right? What?
Yeah.
Let's go in that one. How do I do that? Am I coming to you and say, Bob, I know you want some software. Why are you buying this from us? Or
No, I think sometimes it's that simple. What I like to say is a lot of times sales reps get, they get happy ears. They kind of hear what they want to hear. And, I talk a lot about this concept of, I put you like that. This
I
concept
know
of,
because it's true.
it does happen, right? It happens.
Oh my
They get
goodness.
happy ears. They kind of hear what they want to hear. And it happens to everybody. But I like this idea of agenda-free listening, right? Where you're really listening intently and you don't actually have an agenda. So you're really hearing what they're saying. And in that first question, it's all about, why are they buying anything at all right now? What is the pain you're solving? Are you going to is it going to make a difference? Is there, have they had budget? Have they made a decision internally? Does everybody who's signing it know they're going to sign it? Like, why are they buying anything right now? And then how's that going to look? Right. And I think, a lot of people gloss over that piece, but, sometimes people will poke around software, especially technology, and they won't have a concrete reason why they're making a purchase, right? Especially if it's a replacement technology or an ancillary purchase. A lot of
Yeah.
times for our enterprise solution, it's already been through committee, it's already been through budget, it's already been through, multiple layers in the board, and that's different. But if they're buying something that's a replacement technology, which a lot of folks in the SaaS world sell today, they sell replacement technologies. You have to really establish that. Why are they making a move at all right now?
And I find that sometimes people, you go back to the idea of the happy ears, or the immaturity, or I know mine was naivete, and just immaturity. It was it's a mixture of all of those, because that happy ears mentality too is like, bro, they said they're interested, so I'm good to go.
Right.
You mentioned that, so you want to buy, but I feel often that I don't want to come across as being pushy sometimes, where sellers don't have the maturity to talk about stuff like that. How do I do that without sounding like a pushy, if I'm trying to get that details from you?
No, it's a great question. I think first of all, if the prospect or the customer is going to make a purchase, right? In today's world, I think you need to ask those questions, and you can always frame it up and say, listen, my goal is to make you successful with our solution. So it's not about just the transaction, it's about success after. In order to do that, I really need to understand, like, why are you making this purchase and what are you looking to accomplish?
Yeah.
Usually if you frame it up that way, the customer is going to be very open to share with you because they understand the intent behind it, right?
Yeah.
So just be intentional with your questions and how you frame it up with them.
And see, what I love about that part too, it's not like any super ninja trick. It's literally like, if it comes down to it, I was a Sandler kid early on in my career. Went through the Sandler process, and what I loved about that back then was the notion of that upfront contract, so to speak, right, where you would, if this is not a fit, I want you to know there's an exit. I'm not going to trap you in a corner. I think that's where this comes from when you frame it that way, to just let them know, like, you have option. If what you're looking for we can't really help you with, I don't want you to continue with us. But if we're going to continue, I want to make sure that we can best help you, and not elongate this if it is not necessary. You know what I mean? And that's where I get this
Absolutely.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, look, at the end of the day, people buy because they're either solving a problem or they have pain, right?
sure.
I mean, and we all know that. So the why buy anything question really is centered around that. It's like, hey, are we solving the right pain point? Is it the pain point we want to solve, and are we doing it correctly, right? So I think that's what I would. It's like I said at the beginning, there are three simple questions,
Yeah.
but if you get them answered, the likelihood of your deal actually closing is much higher.
As a sales manager, how do I make this culturally a norm?
Yeah, I think it's through inspection. Another great question, by the way.
Mm.
It's through inspection. You need to inspect it. You also need to lead from the front. So when you're in a customer call and you're noticing that maybe that question or one of the other two questions we're talking about today are unclear, you should ask that. You should ask it and say, hey, like if you're the sales rep, hey, I know Donald's already asked you that, Mr. Prospect, but we always like to make sure we really understand, why you're making this purchase right now. Can you walk us through that a little bit? To make sure we are fully aligned with what we have to deliver for you. Those are the ways I would frame it up.
Love it. All right. There's another question that came through with this idea that of the second one on the rung here is why buy from us?
Yep. Yeah.
Let's talk about that one.
Yeah, a lot of times we make it not clear for the prospect. And I point back to something we call the unique value proposition, and
Mhm.
you probably have used that term before, but it's really solidifying that unique value proposition for that client, okay, to make sure they're buying from us. So what does that mean? One is it means you're going to probably need, depending on who you're competing with, you might have multiple competitors in the same deal. You want to make sure during the process you've set traps to block out the competition, right? Things you can do that they can't do. A lot of times sellers will just be worried about getting every feature out there, right? They just want to talk about features and all the things. And some of those things are important, and customers do need to hear some of those things. But the features that are most important are the ones that are unique to you. The competition doesn't have them, and they solve a problem that is really important to the client, right? Because that's where your unique value proposition is going to shine through. And then if you need to have some sort of financial return, I think that's important as well. It depends on what the client's process is, right? And what they're trying to do. So that's why I always say, why buy from us? We're going to make sure we box out the competition. We're going to differentiate ourselves. Our value proposition is going to be ironclad, strong. We're going to have a vision for how we're going to implement you and what does customer success look like. So putting the customer, in the situation of visualizing when we buy and we implement, this is what success looks like, right? And a lot of sellers I see today will want to stop at the close, but you got to
Mm.
visualize through the close and visualize to the success of the client, and that's where your focus should be on.
How do you get that part the first one is a pretty easy one. You can ask your manager and I'm seller and I can tell you this is what the buyer said and we can go back through the recording. We can get that. This is why they're buying from us. How do you get that from me? And how do I validate that with the customer? Because I can tell the customer this is what you're going to get, but is that what they're seeing as the value why they're buying from us? Am I making
Yeah.
sense on that?
No, you're totally making sense. And there's multiple techniques.
Yeah.
One that I've always liked to use is just to help the customer visualize where the end game is going to be. So it's, hey, Mr. Customer, once you implement this, here's how your team is going to be using the solution different than they are today, right? Painting that vision for how the to be scenario after they implement your technology is different from the as is and why the value is so critical. So tying those pieces together, but through visualization, I think is important. And you can talk through that. Like, what is this going to look like for you? How's
Mm.
it going to make your life easier? How's it going to impact your business? Here's the things that we're going to do for you that other people are not going to do. We're going to ensure you're successful, right? So those are things I would focus on.
And I love that what I get from it is that perceived value for me as the buyer, right? As I might, there may be 10 features, but for me, I'm happily willing to spend 100,000 so I can get that one feature because that's going to change our game, right? And I think me sharing that to you or that visualization helps to solidify it. And then, like you said, if you know who are the competition, you can then box around it that we are the best at that one feature. You
Absolutely.
know?
I think too, customers, a lot of customers are buying, because of risk, right? So you could say customers make a decision because of price, they make a decision because of feature function, technology, fit, all those kind of things, but also it's risk. Your ability to implement, your ability to make them look good, your ability to make sure this isn't going to fail, right? Because people get fired. People in these jobs that you're selling to, if you're not successful implementing this, people lose their jobs over that, and it's a serious situation. So the buyer does get nervous about those things.
Yeah.
They understand the risk, so they want that assurance. That's why I think that part around why buy from us is it's multifaceted, right? And you got to make sure you have that lens of what success looks like for the client.
And we'll deviate from the path just a little bit because you bring something up, and I just want to double tap on that. And if you're listening, you go back and listen to this part again as he gives this further answer. How do you ensure that the buyer's risk is recognized and that we get the buyer's risk or what they perceive as their risk and to help them with that? Because I've seen situations someone was let go because of how poorly they did other implementation. It wasn't that the solution wasn't great, but there's probably other factors. But it did tie to it. But I'm not going to come out and tell you as the buyer maybe right away. I'm scared of losing my job. I think that comes through the relationship, like you were saying.
Mhm.
But how do you get that from me though?
I,
Like,
I think you need to ask pretty direct questions, and you need to ask them. I always like to ask them in a different way, but just say,
yeah,
what does success look like for you?
hmm,
Like you buy this from whatever vendor, and 3 months from now it's deployed.
yeah,
What does success look like for you? What are you telling the board of directors or your executive team? What are you telling your internal team? What's happened to your old processes? Like, what does that look like? Let them tell you what it looks like. They normally will have that in their mind. And
yeah.
by the way, a lot of people don't ask that question because
No,
sellers are scared to ask it. Because why do you want to ask a question that you're going to bring up failure points, right? Or if a customer says, well, the big thing is, this, you need to make the implementation go really smoothly. Well, the seller, the first thing I would trigger would be, okay, let me go get a reference on the phone with this customer right now
mm,
that's just had a smooth implementation, and be proactive about it. Don't like hide from it. Like, be super proactive on it. And like, let's go. I heard that. I listened. Let's go solve that. So that way I know I'm gonna be sitting in a great spot.
because I've often and appreciate that. This is great, man. I always found that it's the assumption game just makes everybody look bad when you assume you know. So I like that, and also we tend to look at. I've started adjusting my pitch in the way I teach clients as we're doing cold outreach. Is look what's in it for the person rather than the company or rather than the role. Like, is there a way that I can help Donald look good? And that emotional value, I mean, it, yeah, do I, my company does need a solution, but in my mind, I'm looking, dang, I'm looking for that CRO position in a few
Yeah.
years. So
Donald, here we go. I tell you, Donald, is I in a book I interviewed 10 President's Club winners
yeah,
that had won more than 150 combined times. Okay, so these folks are like the elite of the elite,
yeah,
and that came through all the time in all the interviews we did. They always talked about being curious with your prospect and really deeply understanding that personal win,
hmm,
right, and connecting it back to the value proposition and
yeah,
making sure those were all. So the point you brought up was fantastic. Those points have to be connected.
yeah. Oh man, that's gold, guys. You got to check out the book. Um,
Thank you.
third point, and I know I guess I wish we could have had 2 hours for this interview, guys, but you're gonna have to go back and connect with Bob. So why buy right now? I think this one is. If I ask any sales rep, they will probably say go back to number one with this one. But I think there's more to it than number one, right?
Oh, there's way more to it. Yeah. Yeah. Number one was, why am I making a purchase at all? Not the
Mm-hmm.
timeline of the purchase. The why buy
Yeah.
now is the timeline of the purchase. The why buy now is, why not do it next year? Why not do it in Q1? I mean, we all get, like my team right now and everybody else's team has lots of deals on the forecast for the month of December.
Yep.
Like, how are those deals going to close? The number one thing I've seen in my career, why deals slip, and why deals leak, is lack of a compelling event, right? And that is, it's pretty obvious, but most sellers don't know how to set it up, right? And it's really connecting the pain of the client, right, and making sure that your technology is going to be purchased on the timeline you guys have agreed to, okay? But there's really important reasons why it won't get bumped, okay? So if a lot of people will just say, well, the customer told me they're buying it by December 20th, because they are, okay? Really? That sounds good. Well, why not January 20th? Because they told me December 20th. Yeah, I understand. And next thing happens, what? I get a call and say, hey, that deal's slipping to January 20th, because there's no compelling event. There's no reason to buy right now. So the great sellers, the elite sellers, what they do, I think, better than anybody else, is they really understand, going back to a little bit of Medic and MedPick, the
Mm-hmm.
decision process, decision criteria very deeply, especially the decision process. And within that, they're able to layer in the reasons why to do it on the timeline that's been agreed to.
Yeah.
And then something that we do a lot of, and a lot of great tech companies that have great sales organizations do, is a mutual action plan. And just having
Yes,
that
come
mutual action
on.
plan with the client, right? And if you don't take the shortcuts, if you do the mutual action plan with the client, okay, and you build it together so you both own it, they are going to feel bad about slipping a deal on you
Yeah.
because you both went through the work. And most clients, believe it or not, when you show them that document, they also need it internally.
Yeah.
So most people actually are good with building it with you. I mean, it's not super complex, but it's important to get the deal done on the right timeline.
Go back to the internal side. Why do you see from your perspective that it's helpful for them internally to take that mutual action plan and use it?
Because normally, most of these deals have to get signed off by somebody other than a buyer.
Yeah.
So the CFO has to sign it, or their legal department has to review contracts. There's all these other steps that happen, right? And if you don't have a mutual action plan that's mapped out, little things in a mutual action plan. Hey, in order for us to get done on December 20th, we got to have contracts and legal for red lines by December 5th. Otherwise, we don't have enough runway. Having that mapped out, it sounds trivial. But the problem is now your champion in the account, the person driving the deal for you, understands that December 5th is critical, because if you don't have it, you're going to miss the date. And then, you've already set up, hey, we're going to kick off implementation the first week of January. I have the resources lined up for that. So you have all these things in place. You got to make sure that's why, those mutual action plans, I think, are so critical.
And yeah, man, I couldn't agree with you more on this. I feel like I can go off of days on why I love mutual action plans. One of the first ones is I've come to learn about 65% of the population, Gen Pop, are visual learners. And when they can visually see this is the process, so to speak. This is what needs to happen. It makes it easier for them. The other side is I've worked with clients and go back to that implementation process. It's like, bro, your project is not the only thing on their radar. IT still has like 6 million other jobs ahead of this
Right.
that they're working on. But once you can have a quarterback internally with the play of what needs to happen, it just makes it smooth. And it just on so many different ways. And then the other piece is like, oftentimes they've not purchased your type of solution. They may not have been the one that purchased the incumbent solution. So they don't know how to do this exactly internally, especially their tenure at organization. It's relatively short. They've been there. This just gives them a good, this is the industry practice, because I'm working with Bob, who've done this like over 100 times over the past 2 years with different companies, and this is what they do for all those reasons. And I just don't get it why people don't do it. I'm preaching to the choir. You got me on.
People take shortcuts. I mean, that's what happens. You take shortcuts, and it's extra work, right? But the thing is, if you we always used to joke and say, did you have a hope cast or you have a forecast? Are you hoping the deal's going to come in, or you actually know the deal's going to come in, right? You actually have the plan with your client, make it ironclad, make it foolproof.
Yeah. Oh, dang, Bob, I'm loving all of this, man. The book, it's available everywhere we can get books, right?
It is. It's available on Amazon. It actually hit #1 new release in sales category. We're really proud of that. I guess she ships tomorrow, December 9th. So it's fantastic. And I think, it's going to be, hopefully it touches a lot of people and helps a lot of sellers that are either new in the business or they're trying to really break through and become elite.
I love it. We talked about 3 main things today, Bob. If there's one major insight you want people to leave with that may inspire them to stop the slippage, what's that one major piece of advice?
I think always ask the next question for the next level of detail. Don't stop asking the questions. So when a customer gives you an answer, ask a follow-up question and keep asking the questions, right? I mean, they might get tired of you a little bit at some point, but you're also trying to be thorough, because a lot of times we get an answer, like I said earlier, we kind of hear what we want to hear. And I think that by asking the follow-up questions, staying curious, really understanding what's going on, and really mapping it out mutually with the customer, you're going to have a much better chance to get the deal at the right size with less discounts on your timeline than you will if you just hear what you want to hear.
Love it, man. Bob, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show today. If folks want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do so?
Yeah, I think my LinkedIn profile is probably the best. It's Bob Kocis, and I appreciate everybody out there, and thank you. And you're welcome to follow me or connect with me on LinkedIn. And this is the book right here, President's Club Mindset. And I appreciate everybody. Thank you. Thanks, Donald.
Bob, thanks again.
Thanks.
Man, that was Bob Kocis. Go ahead and check out the book. That's President's Club Mindset. It's amazing. You can find it on Amazon or wherever you get books. I've, again, thoroughly enjoyed the principles and ideas here Bob's teaching, and I recommend you check it out. You can find all the details in the show notes. Listen, if you have deal slipping, it's not always the buyer's fault. Oftentimes, it's us being mature enough to say it's our fault. And I appreciate that's you being here and listening to this episode. Do all you can to fix it, and things will fall in place at the appropriate time. In this particular example, these 3 questions can be a game changer for you. Listen, I want you to thrive. I want you to succeed. I want you to be able to be wildly successful. I want you to be able to close more deals in your pipeline than you ever done before. If you want to be a part of our sales mastermind, I'd love to have you join that, because there we get a chance to practice how we can improve our sales skills, practice some of the challenges and role plays, and help you to improve. To find details on how you can take advantage of it, go to thesalesevangelist.com/mastermind. As always, I want you to thrive. I want you to succeed. But most importantly, I want you to raise your level of thinking, go out and do big things. See you on the next one.